Hey, it's Steve Wilmes and Matt Kita, and we're here with another episode of the Risk Control Show. Oh my gosh, we're talking about the Maui Fire today. It's terrible, it's
Wow.
tragic, and honestly, I'm super pissed. Um, I really am. It just boils my blood, and then when I see things like the response from our president, I just get more irritated by the second of this whole debacle. And it's
Mhm.
terrible that hundreds of people, and it's estimated that 500 people may have lost their life in this fire, which maybe not preventable, but certainly alertable and certainly could have, you know, had some advance warning to it. And
Yeah.
so today, Matt and I want to talk a little bit about emergency planning. And if you are a risk manager, a lot of our clients, they have risk managers. We have some counties that are lucky enough to have an EOS. Um, the emergency services, they have bigger departments. They have an entire county department dedicated to the integration of emergency services for disasters and natural or emergency events, whatever you want to call them. But a lot of our clients are small school districts. They don't have a dedicated department. They don't have a team working on it. So you're a risk manager. You're out there and you have to make these decisions. And I got to say, time and time and time and time and time again, when the agencies bring us on to have these developments of their plans and the discussions of the plans, when we start doing our walkthroughs and talking to various heads of different departments, a lot of times we get the jokes and the dismissiveness and like, oh, what are aliens going to drop out of the sky? No, I'm not talking about aliens. I'm talking about uh, and you can tell that this is something that's happened frequently. But no, I'm talking about a hazardous waste spill. Since you've opened up your inter road that connects the two major thoroughfares to public traffic. And so if they're using it as a shortcut, then yeah, you're exposed to this. And they think it's a joke, and it's not a joke. And here, this is a prime example. And I hate to do this so short after, but Rahm Emanuel always said, "Never let a disaster go to waste." And I think that we need to talk about this because we do
Right.
need to prevent this. And people say, "Oh, well, we don't need to talk about it because." Well, we do, because here again, we got this stupid response, and we've lost lives. And if it truly is 500 lives, this is unreal. It's unreal,
Yeah.
Matt. I mean,
It's
even
the worst. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
it's
the
the
worst
worst, but
wildfire.
beyond the worst. It's
Yeah.
it's not even supposed to happen like this. And
Yeah.
we talk about active shooters all the time. Why don't we do more with active shooters? Yeah, well, look at this thing. This is an everyday occurrence in California that we worry about. Wildfires every season, wildfires. Here we have a wildfire, and it has killed all these people. It's unreal. And why?
Yeah.
We'll talk about the failures of this thing, but Matt, go, dig in here, man, because I'm just,
Yeah. No, no, I hear you. And yeah, you know what? In California, even with our knowledge of wildfires and our exposure, our constant vigilance to it, we still see fires get out of control. The York fire that burned up a bunch of Joshua trees and burned into Nevada about a month ago. That I honestly, I think the last vestiges of it might have been put out by this Hurricane Hillary that just came through.
mm-hmm.
It was just that even with the preparation level that California has, and we're not here to talk about California, but there's a lot more going on here with respect to these fires on a constant basis, and even with that, we see problems, right? So you look at Maui and the state of Hawaii; they don't face this at any time at all, right? I mean, when was the last time we heard about a major wildfire in Hawaii? And forgive me, maybe there have been a handful of incidents here or there. I didn't go deep into the history of wildfires of Hawaii, but I think if there had been a major one, I would have heard about it. I
Right.
always hear about major wildfires wherever they occur in the United States, and I hadn't heard of anything obviously approaching this level as what struck Maui. And it makes me think, it's the ones who don't experience something regularly that can make an absolute mess of the response. And we know, like Steve, you talked about active shooter, right? Active shooter by its nature is a rare event in the scope of, if you are in one spot, there's a very high likelihood you are not going to ever experience an active shooter event. However, what do we always say in all our active shooter event training? If it happens to you, it will devastate your community. You and the people around you will never forget that, will never be able to remove yourselves from that.
Right.
And if, heaven help us, people lost their lives in these events, which are usually the case, that weighs on anybody involved in the response to it, or who thought, oh, I could have done this and I didn't, or I could have trained for this and I didn't. That weighs on them for the rest of their lives. It weighs on that community for the rest of their lives. So bring it back to Lahaina and Maui. You wonder, okay, well, how much training did they do in the lead up to this wildfire? Yeah, okay, maybe there aren't a lot of wildfires in Hawaii, but you still need to do training just in case. You don't know what could be around the corner. You always have to be prepared. And I think it comes back to kind of a mindset that a lot of people have about emergency risks that they don't view as likely.
Right.
They don't, they don't think, oh, that could never happen. How about this? A month ago, how much of us were thinking about hurricane planning in Southern California?
Zero.
Zero. Exactly. And what happens? Tropical storm Hillary
Look at that. I mean,
comes right through
massive
us.
flooding,
Yeah.
massive this. What's the response? All of it. And,
Yeah.
there's a couple incidents, and people are probably going to go, oh, why are you bringing that up? Well, because these are major events that are talked about nonstop, celebrated nonstop,
Yep.
um, constantly looked at, yet we never take away the damn lesson of these incidents. The first
Yes.
one, Pearl Harbor. Okay? There's so many
Yeah.
similarities here. Pearl Harbor, for those of you that don't know, go look it up. I think I have a screenshot. Yeah, the radar warning that went unheeded. This is from pearlharbor.org. So, that being said, you look at this and you just go, okay, so here's someone monitoring this new radar system. They see this blip. It's a technologically advanced radar system for 1941, and they're like, "Oh, this is fantastic. We got this great system. Let's utilize it." So the guy monitoring it sees this giant blip, calls his commander. His commander says, "Ah, it's just our aircraft coming in."
Yeah.
Don't
B-17
investigate.
bomber San
Don't
Francisco.
do
Yeah.
anything, right? So what does that
No.
remind you of? Oh, we have this big fire. We could use our warning system, our 80 plus
Right.
sirens on Maui, but people will misinterpret it and this and that. This guy's
Yeah.
this guy's resigned for health reasons. I'm sure he's probably in fear for his life, as he should be. He's probably off the island and in hiding at this point, never to be hired again, hopefully, by anybody for any job. I don't even want him cooking my burgers. This guy is
Right.
ridiculous. Um,
Right.
so you have a siren system, and you've only used it so much that you tell people that it's only good for tsunamis, that they're going to run up the mountains. You know what? F you. You didn't do your job. And if you're a risk
Yep.
manager, if you're an emergency manager and you're listening to this, then you need to educate immediately what these sirens are for. This is why, we had the fire alarms in the schools and in California, and the fire code always said that the fire alarm could only be utilized for fires. And now, with the advent of all this technology and the integration into the phone systems and all this kind of stuff, the sirens, the ringing of the fire alarm bell is now allowed to be utilized for other things. But what do you got to do? You got to train people. You have to train people,
Yeah.
right? What do
Yeah.
you think of, Matt,
Yeah.
when you hear a siren? My father was in the Air Force. I still think air raid, you know?
Well,
But
I mean, we're of a certain age, Steve, where we hear that particular the type of siren that I think that we all think of, like that's been in movies and everything like that. We think nuclear attack, right?
right,
Right. I remember that was the old one. If you ever hear this siren, it's a nuclear attack.
right,
And this is back in the Cold War days with the old Soviet Union,
right.
and but yeah, there I never was aware of any other variety of sirens. Now in the business we do now, I exactly what you're talking about, right? They used to be, oh, if there was an alarm, it has to be a fire, but there are multiple types of emergencies. You can't just go one. That you mentioned the possibility that this guy would trigger an alarm in Maui and everybody would run up into the hill, which was exactly where the fire is. So I'm thinking, well, okay, if they're thinking that, then they've done no training and established that they didn't do different types of sirens. They could have one for
Well, you
tsunami,
still,
one for
let,
fire,
let's
one,
let's back up. Let's back up because the siren's going to sound the same no matter what. But the point is, you have to train people that the siren means there's an emergency. And what you got to do is get to your news source and find out what the hell is going on. Right? So,
Yep.
the point is when I hear the siren, I have to go, "Oh crap, this is an emergency. I need to get in emergency mode and figure out what's going on."
Right,
And
right.
so
I'm
this
thinking,
whole
I
concept of we're not going to sound the alarm because people will think this, you're an idiot.
yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. It just, it's tragic in the moment decisions like this. We've seen it. Like, remember, oh, heaven help me, I can't remember the school in Texas that was shot up
Right,
last year and the active shooter. Remember, there was the big deal about the local police chief holding
right,
the federal authorities, the border patrol
right.
response team that had holding them back from responding out of a fear that these children would lose their lives and
Yeah, who's better to
actually,
respond to that? Uh, uh, Trained weapon carrying law enforcement officer or a third grader? Like, come on,
yeah,
you know. Um,
yeah,
so
it's a
so
yeah.
that's
Go ahead.
no, that's the first failure, right? That's the first failure. You didn't do training. You didn't sound the
Mm.
alarm. You haven't taken your job seriously. I would love to know what this guy was like in meetings and what kind of support he had from the top and how he presented things. You got to take this stuff seriously. And it's good to have a sense of humor and do all that, but when you're in this position, you got to be the guy that are the woman or the they them whatever. You got to be the
Yeah,
person that lays down the law and says this is what we're doing and this is what we need to do, and
right.
that's that, right?
Right. Yeah. When you have an emergency situation, there really needs to be one person making calls, and that person needs to be on his or her game.
Yeah,
You know,
but beyond that, Matt,
yeah,
before that, you have to garner the seriousness of the situation up to that point. Better have the
yeah,
budget, you better have the tools, you better have the training, you better get it all in there. And time and time and time and time again, we see, oh, we don't have time to do training. We don't have this. We don't have that.
we
We
do.
don't have the
Yep.
supplies. We haven't done this. We're doing a plan right now for a county actually, and we're doing it for their jail. and it's very serious to me because they're located in an area that has wildfire potential, mudslide potential, like
Yep.
all kinds of serious stuff. And
Right.
I went and I looked at the county local hazard mitigation plan and their emergency operations plan, and guess what?
Okay. What?
There's not one mention of this facility anywhere in those plans. And I'm like, this plan
Really?
was just done recently. So why? Why is it not part of it? How did you miss it? How did you skip it? It's a serious question. We're going to dig to the bottom of it. We're going to figure it out. We're going to get this thing updated. But the point of it
Right.
is that, hey, when people ask me what do they need, I don't go, oh, well, I think that this might be too expensive for the county or might be too. Nope, this is what you need and this is what we're doing. And you better find out how to get it done, because
Right.
the last thing I'm going to have is a bunch of people die on my watch, because I wrote a bad plan or I caved into the requirements of whatever is necessary. No,
Right.
we're going to do this right. We're doing it right, and the same thing's got to be happening. So, people may not like you, but at the end of the day, do you get to stand in front of that podium and go, you know, this could have been a tragic event, but no one died? Or do you say,
Right.
I'm retiring because of health reasons? I'm in fear of
Mm.
my life, as you should be.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
that's the health. That's the health reason right there.
yeah, I'm stressed that someone's going to kill me, and the so that's the first comparison, is this Pearl Harbor not heeding the warning signs and not issuing the alerts and all this kind of stuff. You got to do it. You got to do your due diligence. If there's any inclination, you got to go search it out. I tell people this all the time, especially when we're doing our training on everyday basic stuff. Hey, if you're not 100% sure, then you better find out. And that means if you have any doubt in your mind, if you ask yourself the question, I don't recall that. Oh, I'm not sure. How do I do that? Then you better figure it out. That's telling you right there it's not 100%.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
then there
Yeah.
was, huh? Go ahead, Matt.
Well, I think that the next point to look at is you mentioned, okay, we hear an alarm, there's an emergency, we need to go to some form of mass media, social media, news
Social
reports.
media.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so some kind of, well, but I
No,
mean,
I'm saying
social
sorry.
media
Sorry
it
that I cursed, but I'm
oh
so
yeah,
pissed.
yeah. Yeah, so social media is for all its evils is also a way of conveying information, right? You can go to the Facebook or Instagram or Twitter X page. My apologies, Elon Musk. The X page for the county of Maui that would indicate, hey, this is happening in Lahaina right now. There should be a go-to spot, right? And reports are indicate from what I've seen, reports are indicating that that was lacking during this. So even if you hear a siren and you're trained to react to the siren, you not the individual we spoke about who didn't trigger it, but everybody else hearing the siren, if you needed then to just go look and find out what it is, the information was apparently not out there, not well presented. There were confusing, mixed reports. The thing that stands out to me, Steve, is that the initial fire in the Lahaina area, it started at 6:36 a.m. in the morning in the northeast area of the city, so kind of close to the mountainous region on that side of the city. And it was burning for a while. I think it's 10 hours or something along those lines. It raced through some neighborhoods in the northeast, which sounds like it was absolutely horrible. But at some point, it finally reached the big highway, and it's Highway 30 in Maui. I'm gonna struggle to say the name of it.
Well,
It's the main thoroughfare that goes through that separates kind of the beach
yeah,
side
yeah,
and
yeah.
the mountainside. Um, so the mountainside is on fire. The fire finally crosses over to the beach side, and now all these individuals on the beach side, including I'm presuming many tourists, which because that's where their resorts are and everything like that, are saying, oh, there's a fire. This is 10 hours after the fire's gone. It's not a big island. It's not like you don't know there's a fire or smoke going. You didn't need a siren to see it. But for some reason, thousands of people were caught with their pants down. And then they all rushed into a car going along one highway to
Now,
get
one
out.
highway, I've been on it.
Yeah.
I got caught there on my honeymoon because there was a motorcycle accident, and the coroner had to come from Oahu, and that had crossed the two lanes. I don't know why they, back up traffic
Right.
for 8 hours on there waiting for the coroner.
Wow.
Um, and it's a nightmare. So if you spend any time in Maui, then you'd know. If you're the emergency manager and you're in charge of Maui's emergency operations, then you goddamn well better know that people can't evacuate out of this place in a timely manner, and you better give them all the advance warning that you know. I'm going back to your comment, Matt, on social
Mm.
media, and
Yeah.
I want to stress, because I hate this. I hate the social media. Okay, I
Right.
I love how even when Trump was up there and they said, "Oh well, he communicated on social media, this and that." You know what? I don't have these things on my phone. Yes, we have social
Right.
media accounts. If you want to follow us, they're all right there. We have our accounts, and we do post things there. Don't get me wrong, um, but I am not a social media fanatic. I don't have it on my phone and look at it every day.
Right.
I don't, I we have an app here that we utilize to monitor our social media, to respond to comments, to do those things. There's several of us monitoring that app, but quite frankly, I'm too busy be playing around on this thing. And I get
Yeah.
that a lot of people are on it, but not everybody is. So if your primary method of communication is social media, you probably lost a whole bunch of people. But beyond that,
Yeah.
Matt, the bigger challenge here is, and so this goes back to our second major event that has two failures in it, and that is
Mm.
9/11. And I don't get me wrong, it's a tragedy. It's terrible. There's so many things wrong there, where we set up command posts. But the biggest thing is plane flies into the building, hits the pipes, and the pipes stop sending water, right?
Right.
That's a
Right.
utility. Okay.
Yeah.
We had we have talk on the Maui Fire of homes, their pipes melting away or
Melting
whatever,
away.
and
Poor infrastructure. Yeah.
right. So steel pipes or PVC pipes or whatever. I saw this in the Brea wildfire that took down one of the schools. They had run PVC piping for their sprinklers on their hillsides and everything else. Melted immediately. Water's done. Sorry. Um,
Right.
but this also brings down the whole fact that if we believe, and it is truly the cause, I don't know what the cause is, but there's speculation that it could have been a down power line. Well, are your
Yeah.
communication lines down too? Like, if you got a wildfire, is it possible that that wildfire is going to knock out the radio towers, cell towers, all these things?
Yeah. Absolutely.
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 And so,
Yeah.
you know, yes, social media is a tool, but you can't rely on it as a primary method of communication to people. And so back to the sirens. The sirens, whether you have a phone, don't have a phone, have an account, don't have an account, it's possible, especially with 80 of them on the island, that anywhere you sit, you're going to hear the siren.
Yeah.
That's
And
your
if
primary.
you don't have the access, you're gonna see. You're gonna if you don't have a phone, then you'll be talking to others who will know
Well,
what the
even if you have
emergency
a
is.
phone,
Have that.
even if you
Yeah.
have a phone and the cell tower has been knocked down by the fire,
Doesn't help you.
okay,
Yeah.
maybe your siren gets knocked down by the fire as well. But if again, let's just go from the beginning. How much of the population is on your Twitter? Like, okay, they're on Twitter, but how many are following your Twitter account?
I live in the city of Fullerton, Steve, and I'll admit I do not follow the city of
I don't
Fullerton's
follow any
X
of
or
them.
Twitter
I don't
account.
follow any
Yeah,
of them. We don't follow any of them.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I don't
How
either.
many
Yeah,
follow your Facebook page?
yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah.
uh, you know what? I've turned off the emergency alerts on my phone also because it's always Amber Alert. This person is out walking around, or it's not even near
Right,
me. I don't care. It doesn't affect me. So
right.
you gotta like forget about. Yes, you can send it out. Fine, send it out, but you better do the primary, and the primary is sirens, PA systems, radio. It is all those things, right? That's your
Yep.
primary. Because not everybody is on social media, number one. Number two, if they are on social media, maybe they're following you, maybe they're not. Number three, sometimes, hey, it's the middle of the night. I have my phone on do not disturb. Who's checking a
Yeah.
social media post at 2 a.m.? Nobody,
Right.
right?
Right.
So, hey, maybe I'm in a meeting. Maybe I'm wherever. I'll tell you where this started for me, and that was when Twitter had just started. Okay. We were looking for ways to, especially in California, I worked for a big JPA. We had 175 school districts, and I was looking for a way in emergency preparedness for our SIMS, NIMS plans to quickly and easily get communications out. Okay. And that meant I wanted to get them out to all the parents. We were looking at ConnectEd, Blackboard, these types of things. That's
Right.
what's in existence today. But there was a guy that came to me because he had a company and they were creating this text messaging system using waterfall technology. And the concept there was that it could get alerts out to all the parents that signed up. And so this is the start of these Blackboard ConnectEd mass communication systems, even
Right.
like going back to the reverse 911 and all this kind of stuff. But this is the start of it. If you had a phone list of people signed up for it that you can communicate with, right? And
Right.
so I was excited about it. But then I started looking at the technology behind it. And the technology behind it was so slow. It was like, oh, it could do 30, it could do I think it could do 30 messages a minute, or no, I'm sorry, 30 messages a second. But it was something that within a school district, if you had that regional earthquake event
Right.
and you have 400 students, you got 800 parents, right? And so when you started looking at it, it would be almost 3 to 4 to 5 minutes in some cases before it went through its entire list of the event.
Right.
And so then you got into the situation of, okay, if you're in an active shooter, because I was actually working on these active shooter events way back then, but if you got into an active shooter and you needed to give a location and you're sending this out, you could be 5, 6 minutes delayed. By that time, it's too late. Even two
Yep.
minutes is too late. 1 minute's too late. So
Yeah. Average is what, 7 to 10 minutes, I believe, for an active shooter. For most of them are
yeah, I
usually
mean,
done.
yeah, from
Yeah,
start to
7 to 10 minutes.
yeah,
Yeah,
start to
from start to
finish.
finish, it's like 7 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Um, so by that time, I just realized that you cannot rely on social media. So what are all these agencies doing now? They're going to VoIP, right? They're going to IP
Okay.
phone lines. We saw this at one of our school districts. They got the new phone system. We went in. We went in a week early. We said we're going to be running something. We're not telling you the exact day, but get your classrooms prepared. Get your phone systems prepared. We realize you got a new phone system. You better know how to work it. We walk in, Matt. What do they say? Can't find the passcode
Yeah,
to do
can't
the
find
on.
password.
You
Sit
got
there, punch it. Oh, do you know the password?
yeah,
It's like,
yeah. The active shooter is going on right now.
right
and
now.
you're looking for a password to do an all call. Well, number one, that's a effed up system. And number
Yeah.
two, you didn't do your homework. So you better have
Yep.
that code memorized, and you better know how to do
Yeah.
it. You better know how to do
Yeah.
it in the dark and under stress and everything else. But the point is, why wouldn't you just keep a PA system?
Yeah.
Back to our sirens, right? We used to have PA systems. Now they don't have them. And now people are like, "Oh, well, we'll send an email." Well, who's typing on their computer with the big flashing
Yeah.
screen in the middle of
Who's
an active
looking at?
shooter? Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Email this. Okay, my phone's not charged. Oh, I got locked in the room and my phone's on the desk because the guy was trying to come in right then and there. Send an
Right.
email. Are you kidding me? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
We saw that all the time. People communicating in an active shooter via email. And I thought that just doesn't seem like a great way to do that. I mean, just even having to type, it just there's just a part of that that just, and I understand, especially with an active shooter, obviously you want to maintain silence, of course,
yeah.
because you don't know where that shooter is and you don't want to alert them to your presence. But still, it just feels like email isn't the right way to do it. But we saw that with a few
We
clients
saw
where,
the
where they,
email. We saw,
yeah,
lights off, doors locked, but you got this dark room and then you got this bright. Just think of you're in a theater and someone pulls their phone out. That's what's going on.
right,
And you're
yeah,
trying to type and you're trying to text and you're trying to do this and you're trying to stay visible. I mean, hidden and not visible. So, back to the base here, have a communication system and use it. You have sirens, use it. You got to train people. This is where you look. This is where we're going to send out messages. Get out, look around, see what the hell's going on, find out what's going
right,
on, and move. But that's the failure. And the second failure is this design of the water systems. For the emergency
yeah,
purposes, it's like, yeah, these fires are hot. So why would anybody ever use PVC piping as their primary places? Can't do
right.
that. It. I know it's
And I mean, and why did they have? I mean, they had situations out there in Lahaina where these burst pipes, these leaking pipes were leading to a drop in water pressure in their fire hydrants,
right.
which of course, it meant that they didn't have water to combat the fire. And it's going like, and I'm sure some of it is, yeah, they're working close to those fires, so the water is coming through that. So obviously, even if you have like a grid system where you can shut down like this block or whatever,
Right.
which I'm sure they did, could still lead to a loss of water pressure. But you still need to be. I mean, it just begs the question about the design of the water system that they were using. Like okay, yeah, this works in 99% of the times, but we're not concerned about 99% of the time. We can shut out for a little bit and send people out to fix a problem if there's an issue. If it's that 1% of 1% time where there's an emergency, like a major wildfire, where we need to know water pressure is going to be there, that needed to be planned for, and apparently it wasn't.
Right. Yeah, and this is a cost benefit analysis, and the idea there is you got to look at what is the cost. I mean, everything is destroyed, everything,
Yeah,
and people's lives are destroyed, and it's like you can't put a number on that. Um, so you have to look at the design, but all these shortcuts and multi-use systems, they're great for the everyday stuff, but you really got to think
yeah,
like an emergency, like what is going on here and what are we going to do? And you have to run your tests, you have to run your scenarios. I was just telling our client, when we come up to do this emergency plan, we're going to come up, we're going to verify with the walkthrough, we're going to run some testing on this, and then I'm bringing in 20 people to act as inmates, and we're gonna run it, and we're gonna run it
right,
hard, and we're gonna ramp it up, and we're gonna not run it once, we're gonna run it like 17 times, and I don't care if it takes 2 days, but we're gonna get this right. And
right.
the thing is, who's doing the inspections? Who's going out and looking at stuff? You know? Why are there no
Yeah.
systems around these areas to put these things out? You know, it just there's a lot of issues here. But folks, you got to, if you're in charge of emergency management, you have to take it seriously. You have to lay down the law. You have to have your research. You have to be able to present your argument. And we always talk about the skill set needed. You can be a safety guy and you know all your codes. Can you sell? Can
Yeah.
you get people to like you? Can you promote? Can you educate? Because
Yeah.
writing the plan, doing the plan is one thing. Getting everybody to buy in and to implement and train and know what to do and be able to do it flawlessly is a whole nother thing. Just watch Five Star Chef, right? On Netflix. It's a great little show. You got these chefs and they can't prepare. You know, they can't plan. They can't execute. They can't, like, they could cook, but they can't run a kitchen. They can't
Right.
they can't do this. They can't do that. There's a lot more to emergency preparedness than just writing a plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You got to be a bulldog
yeah,
with it. You got to say, hey, this is the hill I'm going to die on, and I'm going to stand here, and I'm going to grab you in my big bulldog jaws, and I'm going to keep shaking you until you ensure that this is going to be dealt with, that
yep.
this is going to be prepared for properly, that we're ready for this.
And then
And yeah.
I was going to say I'd love to talk about Biden's response on this, but I do have to run. And we'll cover that in the next show. And that's the next part, which is, what is your public information officer and are you prepared for that?
Yep.
You can't run and hide from this stuff. All right.
Yep.
Well, don't forget to subscribe and follow us. We have all of our great stuff on Udemy, Dollar Training Club. You can check all that out. We got our new courses there. You can see me and Matt doing a bunch of training. But please follow us. Say hello if you got comments or questions. We'd love to hear them.
Yep.
And with that, we'll see you on the next episode of the Risk Control Show.
See you, folks.